Once you've reached level 50 in Diablo 4, you will have access to the Paragon Board, Glyphs, and also Sigils to unlock Nightmare dungeons. All these features can be pretty overwhelming at first. Well, in this video, I'm going to explain everything you need to know about them to prepare yourself for the endgame. So without further ado, let's get right to it. Alright, so here we are in Kyovashat. I am currently level 70. Once you reach level 50, you will basically have a blue experience bar, which gives you access to Paragon levels. So if we open up our ability tab right here, you can see your skill tree. Choose active and also passive abilities, while right now, at level 50, you will also have access to the Paragon Board. And this is a place where you can further customize the build of your character. At first, it looks pretty overwhelming, while it's not that difficult to understand. So this is basically what a board looks like. After a couple levels, you will spend points in it every time when you level up. But let me just quickly remove all these points so I can explain everything from a level 50 perspective. Alright, so this is what your Paragon board would look like once you've reached level 50 and haven't spent any Paragon points. It's very nice to know that you can reset the entire board. You can rewind all the points you've spent. It's gonna cost you some gold though. For me, that was around 300,000 coins, but this is basically where you begin. And your goal is to reach the other side of the board as quick as possible to, of course, unlock a new board with more unique bonuses for your character. So what we're gonna do is search for a way how we can invest our points and also pick up some magic and rare notes on the way. So if we spend our forge points, we will get +5 strength, for example. While right here we have willpower, we've got some dexterity, and it really depends on where you want to go. So on the left side, we have a rare note, tenacity. This is a defensive note with +8% life, as well as +100 armor. If we meet the strength requirement, we will get another bonus. While on the right side, we have a rare note with physical damage. I think physical damage for my class is an awesome boost to make my character a lot more powerful. So I'm gonna start investing points in here. I just spent 4 Paragon points, which basically is an entire level. Right now, though, we have access to the rare note. So if we purchase it, our character will have the permanent +20% physical damage. Also, the increased maximum life. And since we already have over 200 strength, we will have access to that bonus as well. Now we want to focus on our path to the next node. So in front of us, we already have a glyph socket, which we can pick up on our way to, of course, the end of the board. And then we once again have to make a decision, either the raw power or the iron strength right here. And once again, I like to go with some extra physical damage. So I'm going to make my way to the left side of the board. So we're just going to purchase accordingly. Maximum HP. So it really doesn't matter which side you pick. It's going to be the same distance, basically. But then we have plus physical damage, plus strength. I'm going to have to purchase this willpower as well. Extra dexterity, extra strength. And now we get access to a glyph socket. So we're going to unlock this one. During your adventures, you can unlock all sorts of glyphs. These can drop from chests or inside the dungeons. But say you've just reached level 50 and don't have access to a lot of glyphs. Let me just put this one right here. So right now you can see a radius around the glyph. And it says, for every dexterity purchase within range, we will get plus 0.4% increased damage to vulnerable targets. Since we've already purchased this dexterity right here, it will already give us a plus 0.4% bonus. While if we purchase this one right next to it, we will get even more of that. So now plus 0.8. You want to make your way to the board attachment gate as short as possible. So you can unlock new bonuses for your character a lot quicker. There you will find legendary notes, which are going to be even more powerful. So what we're going to do is refund these and instead make our way to this rare note. This one will give us plus physical damage, plus strength. And if we also meet the 160 dexterity requirement, this will become even more powerful. On our way to the end of the board, we will unlock more stats. And on the next board, we will unlock more dexterity. So you don't necessarily want to focus on this requirement just yet. If you also want to unlock these notes, for example, that's definitely possible. While right now we can attach a new board to it. This one is pretty decent. Enemies that have been affected by your bleeding for 3 or more seconds take increased damage. My build doesn't necessarily focus on dealing more damage with bleeds, so I'm gonna pass on this one. Killing a bleeding enemy has a 10% chance to grant berserking for 5 seconds. As Barbarian, Berserk is awesome, so I personally really like this legendary note, while it also comes with a lot of rare notes, which can make your character even more powerful. So we're going to preview the board, as I think this is a nice one to go with. So now we see the road which we can take to the legendary, because this is, of course, the one you want to focus on. It's a pretty long way right now, so we're going to have to invest a lot of points to get there. So what you can do is rotate the board to make this path a little bit shorter. I definitely recommend you to do this to minimize the amounts of points you're going to have to spend, while there are plenty more nodes which we can focus on. Potion healing, maximum life, we've got damage to bleeding enemies right here, plus strength, also a glyph socket, which can be pretty interesting. In the very corner, we have extra damage to elites and bleeding enemies, which is awesome, but it's super far away. So what I'm going to do is attach the board, because I think this is going to be a good one. Spend all these points on our way to the legendary nodes. So right now, our Barbarian has a 10% chance to go Berserk if we kill an enemy that's bleeding. I am using this specific legendary node for my build, which you can find in the top right of the screen. It really slaps. Trust me, you're going to have a lot of fun with Barb. But right now, we can basically make our way to the end of the board, attach a new one. Well, I'm going to pick up this one as well. So I'm going to make this way as short and efficient as possible. Just click on that one right there. If we have some extra points, we can always invest them in plus damage when berserking. So last time I was able to choose Hemorrhage, which I don't think is interesting for my build, so we're going to go for the next one. This is also a board which I use for my build, so I'm going to pick it up. So if we zoom in on the board, we can see that we have a pretty nice rare node right here. Plus damage when berserking, and also plus damage to elites. So the one we passed on earlier right here, because it's super far away, kind of pops up at this location as well. We're gonna need some willpower to get the bonus, but that's totally fine, as we can pick it up along the way. And this is also pretty close to the legendary node. Then we can also go for the glyph socket right here. If we go via the south, let's say, we can pick up some defensive nodes. Well, I want to go for the Berserker offensive ones. So I'm going to attach this board. I mean, you can, once again, also rotate it if you want to take another path. But I recommend you to always make the way to the legendary node as short as possible. So I'm going to attach boards, make our way to this rare node to increase our damage when berserking. Pick up the damage versus elite. We can also pick up this one, as I think it's pretty powerful. While right now I want to get to the legendary node, unlock this new power. While berserking, critical strikes increase your attack speed by 2% up to 8% for 6 seconds. So very nice one to have. Well, right now I also want to go for this berserking node, so I'm going to invest more points to get all the way there. We have 10 more points left, so I think it's also interesting to unlock this glyph socket. So say we have a higher level glyph, we can just put it in there. For this one, we're going to need dexterity though, so we're going to have to unlock some dex nodes. If we have one more, we will have 5% increased critical strike chance against bleeding enemies. And with my build, enemies are bleeding all the time, so I'm just going to pick it up right here. Well, right now, I basically want to start making my way to the end of the board to attach a new one. Unfortunately, though, I don't have enough points to go there, at level 70 that is. So what I'm going to do is just refund these normal nodes, as I don't think these are very interesting right now. Instead, purchase some extra dexterity, as the blue nodes have +7 instead of +5. So we can meet the requirements for this extra bonus soon. And since we've invested a lot of points in here, right now we can also see that we've met the requirement for this bonus. So that is basically how you spend your points in the Paragon board. Just make your way to legendary nodes as efficient as possible. So you will, of course, unlock greater powers, while rare nodes are also definitely ones to focus on. You can already click on the borders of the next board to see what you can find right there. But since you have a maximum level of 100 in the game, you will only have a limited amount of boards you can choose from, so choose wisely. Oh, and before we move on to Nightmare Dungeons and Sigils, we want to talk a little bit more about the glyphs. So this glyph socket right here doesn't meet the requirements to get the bonus. And this is basically impossible because we don't have any more dexterity in this glyph radius. If you level it up though, you can increase the radius, so then extend to this dexterity node, so then we can meet the requirements. So right now it might be more interesting to place another node in here, which we can of course fully benefit of. So that's basically it for the Paragon board, and a little bit about the glyphs. Right now, you probably want to know how you can level up your glyphs. And for that, of course, you want to start doing those Nightmare dungeons with Nightmare Sigils, which you can get at the Oculist in town. So if we quickly open up the map, in every major town, you can find him at this triangle icon. If we talk to this dude, right now we have access to crafting sigils, as well as salvaging them. So if you have bad sigils, you can remove them for some new sigil dust, basically. For the sake of this video, let's just start a couple of tier 16 to 20 ones, which are going to be sort of on my level on Nightmare difficulty. So I'm going to craft 5 of these, which are going to cost quite some of my dust and also 50,000 coins. So when we craft these, we can find them in the consumables tab. So we've got 5 different sigils. They all have a random level between 16 and 20. So this is a tier 20 dungeon, a tier 18 dungeon, 18, 19, and 18. We have the Whispering Pines in Glen. So it already says which dungeon it's going to be. If you don't like this dungeon, you can go for something else. This is the Shifta runes in Kyrgyzstan. Here we have the Malwood in the Fractured Peaks, etc, etc. Sometimes the dungeons can be the same, while you also want to focus on the dungeon affixes. Here it says thorns. Your thorns are increased, which is not going to be an awesome boost, let's say, for your character, while this one gives us 10% more physical damage. Let me just craft 7 more, whatever. All my dust gone. But now we have increased critical strike chance, battle hardened, lightning collar, nudging evade, poisonous evade, increased healing, and also reduce cooldown on kill. But if you are lucky, you can also come across some that will give you extra gold find or extra magic items find, which I think are pretty interesting ones if you want to farm legendary items a lot faster. We are definitely not lucky, so we just keep removing them. So we're basically losing quite some gold. Thorns, poisonous evade, fire damage. Boy, oh boy, why does this game hate me so much? Gold find, there we go. You find 20% more gold, can be one of those magic finds. You find more items from enemy drops. But let's just get rid of every single one of them and do the highest difficulty tier, which we've just crafted. So this one gives us thorns, but monsters are going to be more powerful as well. They will deal additional 50% of their physical damage as shadow damage, and they also become unstoppable when their life drops below 22%. If you're not happy with a dungeon, you can always override it with another sigil, while you can always see that you still have one active on the minimap. If we open up the regular map, we can see that it's right here, the Crusaders Cathedral, level 70 dungeon. Alright, so here we are inside the Crusaders Cathedral, a tier 15 Nightmare dungeon. You can also see that we only have 12 revives remaining. Depending on the difficulty of your dungeon, on Torment difficulty, it's going to be even less. So you want to make sure that you're up for the task, because if you die too much, the entire dungeon and your progress will be gone. So right here we have the final boss. After we've taken him down, the dungeon is basically complete. Voila. So it says Crusader Cathedral tier 15 done. Wait for the bubble to pop up right here, which does take some time. Now you are immune. You cannot die. You can still take out a couple enemies if you want to. But we also get our hands on a new sigil, of course, some loot from the boss. And also the Awakened Glyph Stone, which we can use to allocate experience, which we've gained on glyphs, which we want to level up to make them more powerful on our Paragon board. Of course, to also increase the radius, the influence they have on our stats. So the Blood Feeder right here is already level 10. If we increase it to level 15, then the radius will increase by 1, while it's also interesting to focus on lower level glyphs if you find something new. So as I said earlier, right here we have a glyph, which we're going to have to bring to level 15 to increase the radius by 1, so we can touch this extra dexterity. So what we're going to do is just allocate the experience which we got from this dungeon, which is not a lot. It's going to take quite some time to level these up. If you don't have a lot of stats in your path, it's always more interesting to focus on a blue one, as they don't really have requirements. This is not a very good socket, by the way, so I'm going to put something else in there. So now we are basically done with the dungeon. What you can do is open up your map and of course leave the dungeon by teleporting like so, or of course travel back to town. But you can also go to your consumables and start a new Nightmare dungeon. So we picked this one up during our run, while this one dropped from the boss. We can use this one to instantly teleport out of the dungeon, open up the map and see where it is. So now we've got another one, tier 15 Blind Burrows. The glyph sockets are an awesome way to customize your board even further and make your build more powerful while you don't want to focus on them too much. I mean, they do have some requirements which you have to meet first. They're going to take a lot of time to level up. So I think the most important things to focus on are those legendary nodes, rare nodes, things which are a lot more accessible, especially if you are not that high level with your Paragon. Right now, though, I'm going to convert my world tier back to Torment and continue my adventure with this Barbarian build. Ladies and gentlemen, a big thanks for watching. That's everything you need to know to get ready for the endgame. The Paragon boards, glyphs, and also Nightmare Sigils. If you found this video helpful, be sure to leave a like. Helps out the channel big time. And yeah, if you want to see more Diablo 4, don't hesitate to subscribe. It's entirely free, and there is a lot more coming your way. Right now, it's 4 AM out. I want to wish you an awesome day. I'll see you in the next one. Peace.